Testing. JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. September 27th, 2023. Just going to get on really quick. Pretty much the same things I've been talking about on the rants last week, rolling into this week in regards to the market, which I think is still more biased to the downside, probably around 415 on a SPY, and then some individual names I'm looking at. Today, it's been a long time, and if you haven't listened to my rants over the years or articles, I think I had a nice article back in 2014 in regards to gold. I am not a gold bug. Doesn't mean that someone else can't be. There's a part for gold, I guess, in every portfolio or, retirement funds. If you want to have a mix of different asset classes, gold by all means, it's not as volatile as something like a Bitcoin or what have you. And it's historically been a great store of value. But I think that has changed over the years, especially within the last 10 years. You have the cryptocurrency, which is pretty, I wouldn't say it's pretty new. I mean, it's 2012 or 2013. I mean, it's 10 years ago. So it's been around a while, but it's still relatively new compared to how long gold has been used as a form of transaction and as a store of value. So I think there's a lot of other things that go on behind the scenes that I think impacts the value of gold. There's always, and I can go on rants a long time about gold, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to kind of give you my thought process on why I think maybe there's more downside here. But, there's talks that once, and I think Musk mentioned it a couple of years ago, once you get a rocket to the moon, to some of these asteroids, they'll just mine gold. So the thought that gold is a finite resource, that kind of puts to rest that, where on the flip side, you have Bitcoin, and that's a finite transactional store value, whatever you want to call it. So that kind of alleviates the stigma associated with gold, that it's a finite resource, and because it's finite, that just continues to add value to it. So the more you have and the longer you hold it, the higher it's going to go. That I just don't think that's the case with gold. But needless to say, the U.S. dollar has been going up. Every single reason that you would think gold should be a safe haven asset has happened. We've had record inflation. We've had the Fed reining in, having a huge. The Fed has a huge balance sheet. The deficit keeps going up. Fed's been printing money. These are all reasons you would think would be to own gold. So you would think gold, back when it was 1,200, 1,300, people are saying, oh, it's going to go to 10,000, 20,000. Here it got up to 2,000, but now it's starting to pare back some gains. Broke under 1,900 for the first time since March. So I think there's an opportunity for some more follow through. And I think it was 2014. It fell one day and over 7%. I'm not saying that's going to happen tomorrow or this week, but it could be one of those stories. People are starting to pare back on some of their positions. Maybe I wouldn't say margin calls, but maybe they have to rebalance their portfolios because some of their equity positions have declined. So if you have a 5% weighting of gold in your portfolio, and now the equities have come down from 70%, but they've declined 10% over the last couple of weeks. So now you have to reposition your gold. So that could be some of it. So anyway, in a nutshell, I think, and I've said this a couple of times, I've been gold. I think in the summer I was in some puts. I think it heads down to, let's see if I can pull up my this is my handy chart from long time ago. I've been doing the annotations on here. And 1852. That would be my. I'm sure that was a good year if you're alive, but I think that's a possible target, 1852, and I think it happens pretty quickly. Take a look at that support. July hit 1900, bounced all the way up to 2000 again. Then mid-August hit 1900, back up to 1975, and here we are back under 1900. I think it's setting up for a move to 1852, and then you take a look, and back in March, it went all the way down to 1800. So 1820. 22, I can't even see. I could probably pull up what it was. 18. That was March. Where are we? March. 1827. Open, high, low. Oh, no, the low was 1810. So, that's a moonshot, and we'll have to see how it all plays out. But I got some time, so I was looking to get some weeklies, but I figure it's nice to have some time. It might not be the same multi-bagger. So when you get the weekly positions, you have the risk reward. So the risk is that the premiums are decay on any bounce. And, if there is a move against you in the next couple of days, obviously by Friday it could be bidless. But at the same token, they're less expensive. So if it does move in the right direction, instead of it being a 1, 2, or 300% gain, it's 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000% gain. So when you're paying further out and it's more expensive, obviously the reward does not pay out, but you have less risk because you have more time for the position to go in the right direction. So that was kind of the thought process on getting strikes into next week. Um, Still goes. Maybe it breaks on the 1890 and it starts to accelerate to the downside. I can lock some in and cover the cost there. The other one I always look at is dust and J dust. Those are the miners, right? So they have two ways that they go up and down. So they're inverse, the miners. So as miners go down, dust goes up two times. So it's a two times ETF. Miners go down. Let's say miners go down 1%. In theory, dust should be up 2%. That's a simple way of saying, but it's not always accurate. And there's erosion at the end of the day, so these ETFs are not the best to hold because just the overnight holding you lose money. But they do offer great opportunity, especially if there's a big move to the downside. So gold, dust you can make money if gold goes down. Typically, miners are going to go down as well, and then if the market goes down, miners go down. So you get the double whammy of both equations going down, and then the sum of that is the ETF dust will go bonkers, and it's already up. It's up 7% now. The issue is there's not a lot of liquidity in dust, and J dust is the other one, and the strikes are tough. So I don't know if I'm gonna try and grab some here. It's up 7%, and it's up. I think it was $12 last week. So I don't want to sit there and chase them up so much so fast. But if gold goes down to 1850 by next week, dust is going to be 16, $17, if not higher. So definitely a name I can add. All right, so enough of my gold rant. What else we have here? Oh, so I'll talk really quick. What do I have on here? Oh, so ULTA and LULU. LULU, I was looking to get the puts this week after last week. Did the same thing. Broke support. I think it was 383, and then bounced, and then my puts expired worthless. And then was it due the first Monday? It sells off all the way down to, I think it hit 383 on Monday. Oh no, actually hit 378. Bounced back into the green, and then it's just been very stubborn. I still think it comes under 370 and then possibly tests 360 in a very short period of time. Is it going to happen this week? I'm hoping. I was looking to salvage some of my puts when it started to break 383, but here it is back down pretty much right near the lows. 378.29 was a low yesterday. 377.66 is a low today. If it keeps selling off here, I think it gets to 370 pretty quickly. So I'll continue to hold those puts. Unfortunately, despite it being down today, my puts are going to need probably down to three. Let's see if I can pull up the implied move, which I don't have on here right now. My 370s, I think at 240, so that they're down a buck already. It's going to need to get down to about 376, 375 for my puts to come back to life. Which I think if it gets down to 370 by tomorrow mid-morning or what have you, I think those calls will be solidly in the green. That's the thought process on LULU. Not going to mention too much about ULTA either. All the way down, it was down over 2% yesterday, and now it's in the green today. Went all the way up to 396, but didn't recoup yesterday's losses. 388.45 was a low yesterday. I think it heads there before the end of the day. So the thing is, a lot of these names are so, I won't call them so oversold, but they've sold off. ULTA's down how many days in a row here? 1, 2, 3, 4. It was down 5 days in a row. So today is one of those just sellers are just taking a break. Buyers are always there, right? There's always funds buying stocks, 401ks, pension funds, things like that. So the buying is always going to be there. Pension funds don't say, hey, we're not going to buy stocks today because we think the market's going lower, unless someone's a really active manager who manages the pension or the fund. And then people put money in their 401ks and retirement plans. And normally what happens, it's automated. You just pick a strategy, an ETF or whatever, and then that gets invested. So the stocks are always going to have buying. It's just a matter of how much buying and who's taking profits, and if some people are really starting exit positions. So you take a look at the IWM today, and it's in the green. It doesn't feel it in a way, but there was a lot of green stocks on my watch list and starting to shift. But it seems to me, again, IWM is down, let's see how many days in a row. And small caps are red on the year right now, which is remarkable. I would say it's remarkable. But August, IWM, I could count since August, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's down like 13 of the last 15 days, IWM. At the start of September, it was 190. We're ending September, it's down at 174. So that's a 9% swing, 16 into 16 into 190. Let's see. I could tell you the percent, but it's at 8.5%. Small caps are down 8.5% so far in September. And if you do the math from August, it's already in correction territory. And let's see. So we're down $24 from 198. Let's see what that is. Sorry, I should have all this together before I get on, so I don't have to waste time doing math. But it only takes a second. Yeah, small caps are down 12% since August. So, at some point, again, just lack of sellers today. People are always going to be buying, so I think there's some bounces. And then you look at some of the names, the high short interest names. And I mean, DraftKings doing great today, but AI, Fubo, the same names you kind of see on these days that rally, almost like a short squeeze day or a buy, but there's no shorts shorting today, whatever that is. So interesting. So IWM still have the puts into next week. I'll continue to hold those because I think before the end of the week or maybe the start of next week, it's down in the low 170s. Come on, Lulu. What else did I have on here? Not much here to add on Weight Watchers. If you haven't read my due diligence piece, I wouldn't call it due diligence, but kind of my thoughts. I finally got down in a little article, I guess you would call it. I'm working on doing some math, so trying to figure out the total addressable market of the possible opportunity that Weight Watchers has in regards to if Ozempic and Mounjaro and Govi and all these other GLP-1 drugs, if they start to show possible other, how would you say it, solutions for other things. Like there's rumors that it helps with addiction, and there's obviously it helps with diabetes, and there's reports that it reduces cardiovascular events up to 20% or more. So I think there's a lot more on the horizon, and now that you have a health insurer saying you're going to need to do Weight Watchers for 6 months before we can insure this for you and get this prescription approved. I mean, it's going to force people into the ecosystem. So this morning, Craig Hallam upgraded the stock from hold from sell. And at the time, they had coming into today, they had a $4 price target and sell rating. The stock is up 187% year to date. And now they finally upgrade the stock to hold and take their price target from 4 to 10. I don't know how you're an analyst and you're wrong to the tune of 150% on your price target. Like, how's that in a very short period of time? And I got to see when he initiated the sell rating on Weight Watchers. It's going to be $20. Then what does he do? He's going to raise another $10 and keep his hold rating. Eventually, he'll throw the cards, throw the towel in. But good for the stock today. So finally put a little juice in it. I'm trying to see. There's other negative analysts. Still some. I think there's one or two analysts that are still somewhat bearish or skewed to the downside on Weight Watchers. Eventually, those will pull through. Goldman Spectacular and Morgan Stanley already came out with bullish analyst ratings and price targets. So I think it's just a matter of time. And then eventually it just starts getting exposure. There's still a lot of hype around GLP-1. And I think a lot of people don't realize what Weight Watchers or WW International is going into. They don't realize the opportunity that they have ahead of them. I put it on that due diligence piece. But it's like if you add up all the possible ailments that a program that being part of Weight Watchers with their clinical solution can provide, it's like a $1 trillion market opportunity. And I think they were saying GLP-1 drugs is going to be $90 billion in revenue. There was estimates, an analyst a couple months ago gave that target about, I think it was 2029. It's going to be a $90 billion market just for the GLP-1 drugs. But then you have all that back-end stuff. You can't just take the injections and then, and then visit your doctor every month or 2 months or what have you. There has to be some kind of program, accountability, diet, exercise. Otherwise, you get off the drug. If you ever want to get off, you're just going to be back to where you were. So anyway, I can go on a rant for a while on WW. Oh, some other names I was looking at for downside, and I'm trying to think of how long. I mean, this community has been around for 12. I have maybe 2011, 2012. I don't know how long it is, but I can't remember a time where I made a mistake and put a trade in the wrong room, and then I was trying to do a lot of stuff, and then I just pasted it because things were moving fast. But I got those now puts, and ironically enough, you probably could have reloaded at the open and made some coin. But I put it on the watch list this morning that, let's see here. Well, actually, I don't even know I wasn't even looking this morning. Okay. Yeah, they're still in the red, but you could have got them on the cheap and made some money. But thought process, you looked at yesterday, Google, Amazon with the FTC situation, which is garbage in my opinion. A lot of these mega cap names, which they talk about, the big buzzwords these past couple of weeks is the Magnificent Seven, right? All these names that are holding up the market, and then you look under the underlying under those stocks, and it's just a mess, right? The S&P would be up 5% or whatever without those stocks. There's always an argument to be made. A lot of people used to talk about the small caps are traditionally, they have a correction. They average like 2 or 3 corrections every year, the small caps. So when small caps, when they sell off, they say, oh, that's not good for markets, but it happens every year. It just, so it's whatever's the flavor of the week, whatever sounds good, whatever rationalizes what the market's doing. That's what they talk about. But let's see here. Sorry, I was just funny how that all works out. But I lost my train of thought. Okay, so now trades 10 times revenues. It's one of those, I wouldn't call it a mega cap name, but it's it's a $10 billion company. And I just thought there was opportunity for some of these names that have really rallied this year. And Nvidia's one, but I haven't traded Nvidia very well over the years. Actually, I haven't traded too much. So I stay away from that and some of the chip names. But some of the software cloud names, I like trading those. MDB, now. I was trying to think of some of the other names. But I was also looking at Meli Cabra, Libra, however you pronounce it, Meli, M-E-L-I. It's a name I've watched in the past. That's one of those names that could just sell off just because. And you take a look, the U.S. dollar is getting stronger. That usually affects international markets, emerging markets. The dollar gets stronger. It's not good for them. So you see Meli's down from 1450 at the start of September down to 1250. I mean, if things get really ugly, it could be 1,000 in a flash. It was 1,000 in July. The thing is that company keeps reporting great quarters. So if we do get a bounce, it'll soar. But that's another name I'll be watching. And then on the flip side, at some point we're going to have some kind of relief, major relief bounce, a quick 2-3% rally in a matter of a day or two. Typically what that does is destroys all the negative sentiment out there. The people right now who are already posting those crash warnings for Monday, right? We're going to have a big Black Monday crash. It's going to be reminiscent to other Octobers because that's going to be the first Monday in October. So everybody's already talking about that, and then we're going to get some bounce, and that will alleviate all that negative sentiment, and then we can resume to the downside. I thought 415 on the SPY, but we're 422 now. We just broke through. I don't want to put my bear suit on. I think there'll be opportunities to play upside, but hopefully we can hold somewhere at 415 if things really get nasty to the downside this week, and then work on playing some bounces, and then I'll try and be out of most or all of my bearish positions, sans 1 or 2 put positions, just as a crazy protection. I think that's it. I'm trying to think of some more things to rattle about. I mean, there's not much. VKTX, just crazy. Down, I think it was down 12 days in a row. Then yesterday, one of my favorite stocks to trade, I would say favorite, but I've traded it many, many, many times over the years, Intercept Pharmaceuticals. So ICPT was the first to really get the go-ahead from the FDA for NASH. The stock went from like $20 all the way up to like $600 in 3 days. It's the craziest run. Because NASH supposedly, or still is, it's the, like, if you watch Star Trek, it's the new frontier. Nobody's been out there to explore. There has not been a solution to address NASH out there. Any approved drug to address NASH, which pretty much it's scarry liver tissue, whatever. It's not cirrhosis. So needless to say, once that came out, it went nuts, and then the stock sold off a lot. And there was a lot of people who were bearish that the FDA was never going to approve them. And then, sure enough, they were able to get a drug approved, Acalvia, I don't know how to pronounce it, and that was generating revenues. And the company has cash. I think it traded 1 times cash, but then they got dissed by the FDA. The FDA says it's not a solution, not going to approve it. So then they nixed that, and now this Italian company comes out and buys them for $19 a share. So interesting stuff. So now you take a look at VKTX, and you would think that if Intercept gets bought for an 82% premium, VKTX has the NASH solution, which probably is not going to be a solution anymore with the GLP-1 drugs, but it has its weight loss drug, and it's dual agnostic, right? So there's 2 ways it takes care of the weight loss as opposed to just the GLP-1. If they have their their pill solution comes out, their data comes out in quarter four. Quarter four starts next week. It could come out anytime. If it's positive, I think it goes into the 20s. So just shocked it continues to sell off. You would think yesterday it rallied on the Intercept buyout news, and then today it's back to sell mode, down to $11. Heavily shorted name too, so a lot of shorts probably taking advantage. Yeah, that's that. I think that's it, folks. I'll try and get on later. I might add some dust or J dust before the end of the day. That's it. Let's have a great day, folks. Rock and roll.